Hey guys, Axelmith here. Today I decided to talk about this underrated Metroid game. Unlike Nintendo, who decided to release this game on the 3DS the same day the Switch dropped, I mean, everybody didn't notice this game came out. For those who don't know, this is a remake of Metroid 2 Return of Samus on the original Game Boy. I've personally never played it. In fact, this is only the fourth experience I've had with the Metroid franchise. So the story is the Galactic Federation set out a team to the planet Zebes, and when they didn't hear back from the team, the Federation hires Samus. So you send one person to do what an entire team of trained soldiers couldn't do. Just when you start to think that that makes sense, you realize your objective is to kill 40 Metroids. They're split into a few categories in this game: the Larva, Alpha, Gamma, Zeta, and Omega. Each class have their own attacks, but all of them can be taken out with the Ice Beam as before. Missiles also work depending on the class. Super missiles also work on others. Something I just wanted to comment on real quick is this game is just beautiful. I don't think it's the best looking 3DS game of all time, but it still looks very stunning. The world is very colorful, the backgrounds are well detailed and defined. There's no complaints for me on how the game looks. The world is just so beautiful. It makes me want to explore. It's even designed good enough for backtracking. Take my advice, get all the power-ups you can, but save the ones you can't till the end. This game is more linear than other Metroids, I guess. I mean, compared to the first one, I think it's a good thing, but the only other game I can compare it to was also said to be more linear. I just heard it was something that bothered other Metroid fans, and I know people out there like open-world games. The top screen shows the beautiful action. The bottom screen shows your health, missile count, and map, and it's also used to change the type of missiles and lasers you're using currently. But then that's where we're going to segue into controls, and that's where the game really faults for me. Press down on the circle pad to crouch, and press it again to go into the morph ball. The Y button is for shooting, which is pretty uniform. The B button is to jump. Again, pretty much standard controls. The X button is a new sort of slap attack, where when the enemy gives a signal, you can melee it and stun them. I've heard complaints that it breaks the game, and at first, it feels like a gimmick, but later on it feels like a mere option in the plethora of ways to kill enemies. The L button makes Samus shoot in 360 degrees, which, thank goodness, shooting things in the first game was difficult. Metroid Fusion, it was not nearly as bad, but 360 degrees just makes things a little easier. It's a very welcome change, and if there's another 2D style Metroid, I really hope that this just returns. The R button changes your gun to a missile, which is pretty standard for Metroid. And lastly, the A button is used to activate the Aeon abilities. Some of those are more useful than others, and if you're going to explore, you need at least 3 of the 4 that you get. All of them are handled by the D-pad. Up is a map scanner. It shows you more of the map, which is placed on the bottom screen, and shows you where hidden items can be found. I'm not gonna lie, this is the one I used most. It made exploring so accessible, and maybe not feel nearly as lost in this game. I really hope that this returns in future games as well. Right is rapid fire, which is awesome, but only certain enemies require its use. It sucks a lot of your Aeon gauge, so most of the time it's not even worth it. Down is a time stopper. It's mostly used for exploration. You can use it against the Metroid bosses, but again, it sucks Aeon really quickly. Left is the second most usability. It's a shield, and rather than use it for a set amount of time, it lets you take a hit or two before eating your own health. In the controls, everything works and it's really responsive. And honestly, the controls felt pretty natural for the most part. So, what's the problem, you're probably asking yourself? Well, I just don't think the control scheme was made with the 3DS in mind. Having my fingers on the L, R, and Y buttons, and then taking my finger off the Y button to touch the screen so I can change what missile I'm using feels very awkward. The 3DS rarely cramps my hands, but this game hurt my hands so bad I was feeling it for 2 days after I beat it. I just think these controls were better suited for something like the Switch. Map the touchscreen controls to the L and R bumpers, and, the other things to the triggers, I'm gonna tell you, this game's combat is just so satisfying to me. This game is pretty challenging, and the enemies hit like a tank at the start, and they only get more powerful. Then again, so do you. Though, if you walk into an area too soon, you can kiss yourself, mwah, goodbye. This game will put your skills to the test, especially later on when the Metroids get bigger. Speaking of which, I did notice the enemies don't come in much variety. There's only about 4 or 5 different kinds. I could go on, and there's certainly things I want to talk about in this game, but I don't really want to spoil it for you. The question is, do I recommend this game? Yes. Yes, I do. The game gets challenging, but it only drove me insane once at the very end. Other than that, any death I had felt like it was my fault. I didn't time it right. I didn't get out of the way of the attack in time. This game is well designed, and even though it controls awkwardly, it's still fun and feels mostly like a natural step from the Metroid games I have played, like Metroid Fusion in particular. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably my favorite Metroid so far. I can't wait to play the other installments. Well, that's it for me, guys. Comment below what you thought about either this game or any other Metroid game you've played. Have you played the original? Do you prefer this one over that one? Do you prefer that one over this one? Let me know in the comments below. This is Axomyth, and I'll see you guys in the next video.